And I currently work as the Leadership Development Coordinator for the Aboriginal Sports Circle of the Northwest Territories. I'm currently located in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories, which is located on Chief Draggie's territory, which is Treaty 11, if that's the way you like to identify. And currently on a wonderful territory that is Denendeh, and I love being here. It's a wonderful place to work and to live. It's amazing to live somewhere where, you know, we work with a lot of Indigenous communities across the Northwest Territories in so many different regions and so many different climates. It's been amazing to be able to really connect back to not only the land, but traditional games, and explore both kind of the contemporary and traditional side of sport, which was a big part of the research and education that I focused my grad school on. And a lot of my education and experience is kind of revolve around that duality, that binary of kind of existing in one world and the other, and what that means in between. So it's been really, really interesting to work in an area where I get to kind of merge those ideas and hopefully support others along the way. And through a lot of discussion and a lot of, you know, focusing on what was important to me, I know that what's most important is working, you know, on the front lines, connecting with communities and doing that work with communities and with the youth directly. I think that's a really cool space I fill now, because I've always been a part of that weird, you know, gray area and the whole, you know, binary system of, you know, I'm not quite Native enough, not quite white enough. I'm not, you know, I'm not from the NWT, but I'm still from Treaty 8, and people want me to be, you know, there's all these different, you know, gray areas that I exist in. And so now my role is to really just help bridge the gap, I find, and that's wonderful and great. And where I, you know, work now and where I live now, it's really cool to be able to put those ideas into practice. And so that's what I do. So, you know, a lot of the work that I do now is sitting down with youth and saying, listen, I understand, you know, what you're struggling with. I understand, you know, you want to be a part of this. You want to grow, whether that's through sport or some other area in their lives. You know, what can I do to help you achieve those goals? And what can I do to help diminish those barriers a little bit more so that they can kind of access those things in a little bit more of an equitable playing field. And that's really my goal now.
Well, welcome. My name is Story Sayers. I'm one of the collaborators for Inclusion Incorporated. You just heard from Beth Hudson. That was a bit of a teaser from her episode that she participated in and appeared in back in June. And we are very excited because we're going to catch up with Beth. It's been about 6 months since we last heard from her. So we're going to bring her in right there. There we go. Magic of technology.
Yay.
In the background the whole time. Well, welcome. So let's catch up with you. And where are you now the big question is, from guest to collaborator. Tell us about that journey.
Yeah, oh my goodness. So I've been through a lot the past 6 months. It's really exciting to be back, just to give a little bit of an update. And I really love that video just because, you know, once again, I've managed to kind of, I guess, talk the talk and walk the walk in what I was saying back there. And yeah, what I've been up to the past 6 months has really been, I was in Yellowknife and I was able to be interviewed for Bridges of Belonging, which is so exciting. And it was so cool to be able to summarize my life journey up to that point. And that was a huge tipping point for me in life with the pandemic and things going on right now, right? Our whole world has changed. And really that was the kickstart of my journey to getting to the point of being like, well, I talk a lot about wanting to connect to the land. I talk a lot about wanting to be on the front lines and making a difference in community. And I really took that message really that I was explaining in my belongings interview and really applied it to my life. So I actually have moved. I was in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories, which again, wonderful city and place to work. And I've moved back to the Decho region in the Northwest Territories. So for those of you that know my story a little bit more in detail, I was lucky enough to actually work and live in Fort Providence for quite a few years when I first moved to the Northwest Territories, which is in the Decho region. And that really truly felt like home to me, being able to work with youth within those communities especially. And it feels like I was almost able to move home. Which is something that, again, if you've heard my story too, is not something that I'm going to throw around loosely, because, you know, I've never really been able to connect to a place that's really felt like home before. And so, yeah, I made the leap. I moved back to community. I'm still doing the amazing work that I'm doing, just in a bit of a different avenue now. So I don't work for the Aboriginal Sports Circle of the Northwest Territories anymore. I'm really focusing, on being a collaborator with Inclusion Incorporated. So being able to live in community right now and work on the front lines, like I was talking about, and volunteer my time with community members. But then on the flip side now, still being able to utilize my amazing network that I have, still being able to spread the word, and hopefully, again, just be able to work with those national organizations that want to make that difference, or, everyone in between, from frontline all the way up to the top, whoever wants to collaborate or just work together to make a difference. I'm able to do more of that now, which is really exciting, and live in community. And so that's kind of the where I've ended up now. Nearing the end of 2020, which is pretty wild. And I'm really excited for what the future holds, especially in the work that we're doing, right? Just every time we get together as a group and connect and talk about these things and host workshops and just be able to even share the materials that we're coming up with together. It's just so inspiring and so great. And I'm so happy to be able to be living a life where I'm doing it. I'm doing I'm doing it all, and I'm making it happen. And sometimes it's scary, but here we are.
That's amazing. And I think that's such a powerful message, right? Finding that sense of home and what that means. And that can mean something different for everybody. Finding that power in having control over your life and what you're doing. And then, being able to look back 6 months, we rarely look back and reflect on what happened in the last 6 months, especially in 2020. So being able to reflect gives you, and watch that video from Bridges, and then watching you now is just like a strong, powerful message where, you seem so, you're excited then and you're excited now. And so I want to throw it back. Before, I want to talk about what 2020 and 2021 means to you. But before we do that, I want to talk about a little bit about, in your Bridges episode, you spoke about living that duality, that life, trying to mix traditional and the modern life together. So with your move, with career changes, kind of how has your appreciation for that dual living and dual life come and grown?
Yeah, I think that growing up, I talk about that theme a lot in my life, because I think that's really, in a lot of youth especially, or pretty much any kind of Indigenous person or anyone really on an identity journey. I could even frame it that way too, right? You're on this identity journey, just trying to find those pieces of connection. You're trying to, understand various factors of life, the roles you play, the spaces you play, where you come from. There's so many things, there's so many layers and things to think about. And, when in Indigenous communities, family lines especially are so important, because that's a lot of the ways in which we relate to our community and our histories. And so, when you can't always come to the table with that kind of information, it's hard to be able to find space within communities that people assume you already belong to. But when you're taken from those communities, you don't naturally have that connection. You have to really, fight to find that connection. And that's, in essence, been a large part of my journey. And I did talk about in that video, you can tell, right? It's frustrating to live in this space a lot of the time. But, I think that just through my life and my journey and stuff, it's kind of become that, that burden that I'm willing to bear, I guess, in a sense, where I've kind of already come to the resolution that, I do fill this space, and I'm able to talk about it, and I'm happy to talk about it. It's not something that I consider, tragic or traumatic, in terms of, my upbringing. I was, again, truly raised in a loving household, and was able to really navigate some of these identity issues just because of the amazing support that I had growing up, both from, my parents that adopted me and my family that adopted me, but also, as I've touched on a few times too, just the leaders and teachers and coaches in my life as well, which was a huge factor for me, right? Those are the people that, even though they weren't necessarily a part of, Indigenous communities, they were still a part of community, and they were still able to welcome me into whatever spaces they could. And they always did their best to make me feel comfortable. And, I've really taken those lessons now and applied it to my life now, where, I'm kind of comfortable now filling these spaces. And I talked about how I really am someone who helps to bridge the gap for others now. And, that's really helped me. That's helped me find a lot of meaning in my life and direction for where I want to go. And yeah, that's been the driving force for me, of course. Yeah, just to kind of wrap up that point, right, is just you can see my journey a lot of the time from being in academia. So I was really, climbing to the top of the ivory tower. I was in this academic stream where I was kind of the token Indigenous researcher and student, and I was okay with that too. I knew what I was doing when I was in those spaces, but I knew this was a path for me, a place where I could be successful. And I took that same thing. I really jumped into that world and went as far as I could. And when I realized I had an out, which was right into the workforce, I took that, and that was kind of my transition from this idea of wanting to be a PhD or a doctor or be the top of the white world, in the sense of, I'm finally going to be at the top of their institutions and I'll finally have more power. And I realized fairly early on, thankfully from my supervisory team and the communities I work with and the people I work with, that I could do that. I could continue to work in this world that I still love, but now's a good time to come home, right? To come back to community and work with the youth that you're so passionate about working with. And you now have, a little bit of an open door to go through. And I went through it, and that was my welcome to the end of UT. I really have been here ever since. And I've made 3 moves in my life in the NWT. So to Fort Providence, to Yellowknife, and now back to Fort Simpson again, in a similar region to Fort Providence. And it's been an incredible journey. When I lived in Edmonton, I never moved once in my life, except for the last couple of years when I was wrapping up my university degrees. So yeah, it's been wild to again have gone from this life in urban southern Canada to now living truly remotely in the north. And what a journey it's been. And it's been so cool to be able to share it with the world, really, because it's new for me every day. And every day there's new crazy things that happen, or new barriers or challenges that come along. But it's been truly incredible. And all I can really do is, again, keep sharing my story and keep being someone to encourage others as well to just do it. And yeah, just try to find a career and a pathway that you're passionate about, because look at all of the amazing opportunities that have been coming up, not only for me, right, but for the community and for organizations now that we're able to meet like this and have some really cool, meaningful conversations. And I'm just so grateful for it all. It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think 2020 has been a year of change, and that's probably the best way, and of change and just kind of being excited and learning how to adapt, and I think it speaks to the resiliency of the world and the people that live in this world, about how we've all learned how to change and adapt and have new conversations in different ways. And in fact, I think too, with Zoom and technology and all these live streaming platforms, we've been able to have greater conversations because we're not so reliant on conferences and in-person events where we can sit and have these, conversations, but you have to be there. Now we're all having incredible, meaningful, amazing conversations with people from all walks of life, all over the world, with all different experiences. So looking at 2020 and then looking ahead to 2021, with 2020, was there, aside from making this big move and a bit of a career change, was there kind of one pivotal moment? It could be a thought, it could be something that happened that just made you change, that like gave you something to think about or do.
Yeah. No, this is going to be kind of funny because I think that this question, a lot of people are going to want me to give some this pivotal changing moment in my perspective, in my mind. No, I can pinpoint a pretty clear moment in 2020 when things kind of changed for me, and it's just funny to think about. And it's a bit of a story time. So way back in March, right when things were really getting serious with the pandemic, and we were all prepping in the NWT for the Arctic Winter Games, which is one of our huge international events where Team NWT sends a whole contingent of athletes to compete in these Northern Arctic Games, but also contemporary sport too are included in them as well. And so all the coaches and volunteers and athletes are all getting ready for these, giant games. We're all getting ready, and I had taken the time the week before departure to come to Fort Simpson, where I live now. And I had come to Fort Simpson because it was the Beaver Tail Jamboree, which happens around the same time of the year, around that time of year. And it's a week-long, like, essentially spring carnival celebration, and it's one of my favorite times of the year. And I was like, the Arctics are coming up. Everyone's kind of wary about it. Everyone's a little bit worried about it. It's still happening. Like, this is less than a week away. We're still going to go through. So I'm in Fort Simpson, kind of taking a mini vacation before things get wild with travel and everything and all the unknown. I'm in Simpson, and we get the word that Arctics are canceled pretty much like 2 days before we leave. So I'm in Simpson. My home at that point still is in Yellowknife, but I was like, no, it's okay. I'm just going to stay in Simpson for the weekend and, get to visit some more friends and enjoy it for what it is. Like, Arctics are canceled, but I'll get to stay for the fun run and the final events of the Jamboree. And what ended up happening was I was on the fun run for that Jamboree, the last kind of big event where you're exploring the trails and stuff. I'm around the community as a big group on skidoos, and there's cookouts and things. And I actually managed to break my leg that day. Which is wild. So that's I broke my leg, and then Arctics got canceled, and then the ice bridge that links Fort Simpson along the highway to Yellowknife also melted, all within the same few day period there. So then I was in Simpson with a broken leg, couldn't drive back to Yellowknife, wasn't going to Arctics, and was just in Simpson. And that's what kickstarted off my kind of the pandemic for me. I ended up isolating essentially right where I was in Simpson for quite a few months. I think 3 or 4 months I was in Fort Simpson recovering with a broken leg, trying to work remotely, and was in Simpson. And that was really the driving factor for me to be like, listen, you're still working here. You're still living here. You're still doing what you want to do. You're making it through the pandemic. You have this amazing opportunity to really prioritize the people that mean the most to you. Your friendships and your relationships and everything here. You have your dog here too. She was with me still too. So we just made it happen. And, we had been used to going back and forth a lot, but we kind of hunkered down in Fort Simpson for quite a bit of time there. And it forced me to think a lot more about it. And I was back in Yellowknife then when we filmed Belonging, which was really cool. And I was just kind of coming to terms with it all and trying to figure it out, being back in Yellowknife and trying to, see, do I feel better here? Or do I feel better back there? And, Yellowknife was so isolating because it was just me. And I still had incredible friends and coworkers and roommates. It wasn't just that, right? But it was that community piece that I just wanted to have again. And that's what kickstarted it for me. It gave me a taste of what I could have. And then, when I had the opportunity a few months later to just make it my reality, I just did it. And I said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to just see what's going to happen. And I had to leave my job over it, which was a total dream job, and it still is. And I'm still excited to, again, support that role whatever way I can. And I've been able to, because of that, take on a couple other roles. And it's really led to also me being able to be a collaborator now. So super, super cool. And just a wild journey overall. I did not foresee that happening in 2020. And for 2021, I have no idea. I don't even want to make a guess as to what it's going to look like. But I'm really looking forward to hopefully, one day being able to see people again. That would be fantastic. And in the meantime, if I can't make that happen, I will probably try and go on some crazy adventure in the summertime, whether that's a hunting trip or a canoe trip or something. I really want to experience something wild. So hopefully I can make that happen. Yeah.
Get a little bit wild.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. So I don't think any of us could have ever planned. I mean, I can speak for myself as well. The journey of what I thought 2020 started and what I thought it would be and what it is right now are two completely different things. And similar, I made a drastic move but I never would have thought that move wasn't supposed to happen or wasn't even supposed to be considered for another 6 months kind of thing, or even a year. But I think, when you take unexpected moves and unexpected risks, you reap great rewards. Great things happen when you take a little bit of risk, and when you take all of that amazing energy that you have and all of that passion for what you do, and then you turn that into, and then you put that into play, not only in your career and professional life, but also in your life. So to wrap things up, so 2020 we know has been the year of change. You want to go on a big adventure in 2021, but are there any kind of projects or professionally, is there anything that you're really looking forward to in 2021?
Yeah, that's such a hard question, because I love it, because there's so many things I would love to do, but I have no idea what is going to end up being possible. I think professionally, really, I just want to find my groove, I think. I'm still just experimenting with what works, in my life, in my routine, and I still haven't found like the permanent role that I hope to fill. And by permanent role, I'm not speaking about like one full-time position or anything. It's how do I balance and create a life for myself where, whether it's like part-time or consultant work, or just consultant work, or a full-time job, and what's the smartest move for me moving forward within the role I have now, which I think again is just focusing on community and focusing where I'm living now. I think it'd be so cool to be able to find a local job, or a local role where again I can be able to hopefully do some important work, but also some great just connection and relationship building on the side. That's the most important thing, of course. So still trying to find ways to kind of navigate that. Does it make more sense to be a volunteer? Does it make more sense to find a position of some kind, and kind of navigating that whole world of things? But I know I'm going to continue to be a facilitator for all sorts of different workshops and things. I know that I'm just so optimistic, especially with the work we're doing now as collaborators, and just the organizations and workshops and material we've been able to really dive into is really exciting too. So I know I feel optimistic, I feel cautiously optimistic, which is a good way to feel, I think, after this year. So far everything has been working out. It's been rough. I think everyone's going through, a lot of hard times, and hopefully there's some good times mixed in there too. But I think just to keep focused on putting community first, knowing that, I'm here for a reason, and just staying proud of myself for everything I've been able to overcome so far, and to be really living the life that, I've always dreamt of. I've always dreamt of this. And again, it's not always easy, and it's not always rainbows, but it is wonderful to be able to look out my window right now, right, and just see all of the snow and the trees and the river, and know that I can walk out my front door right now, take my dog for a walk, get some fresh air, and then come back and do a little bit of work. I can't complain. I'm so grateful. I have just all this opportunity, and my network that I've been able to connect with online, and through other sorts of initiatives. So I hope I can continue that. I hope that I can continue to connect with my network, and hopefully, a few of the people I've been missing, we can find a way to connect to moving forward. It's always wonderful to hear from people and hear what they've been up to as well, and just share what's been going on. And hopefully in 2021, like I said, once it's safe, or maybe a little bit of time after that, again, just being able to see people again, because I'm so used to being able to see the family, really, whether that be through conferences or workshops or travel, just being able to run into people in airports even. I'm looking forward to that again, but for now I'm happy where I am. I'm happy being in community, and I'm just taking it day by day.
Amazing. Well, Beth, thank you so much for joining us, for catching us up on your exciting life that has been the last 6 months since we last spoke to you virtually. We're so excited to have you as part of our team of collaborators. I'm so excited to work more with you, and really help promote what you're doing, and the incredible work that you're doing. So thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the snow and the beautiful
Yes.
and the fresh air. And maybe we'll catch up with you in the next 6 months.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I cannot wait. Hopefully in 6 months there'll be some like crazy futuristic stuff going on behind me, and we can put all the stills together. It'll be the biggest curveball. So.
Yeah, we'll plan for that. Deal.
Awesome.
Okay. Have a great day. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.